In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful witch hat. So simple, no sewing, and can you believe this buckle is made out of cardboard? We're also going to be making these creepy cute skeleton candle holders. And I'm going to show you how I style both projects. For the witch hat, I used burlap fabric. It's amazing because it gives it this really great texture. I started out by cutting out, just folding and cutting a round circle. My circle ended up being 16 inches in diameter. For the top of the witch hat, I just folded over the burlap and I cut just the side of a long triangle about 30 inches long and about 8 inches at the bottom, 8 to 9 inches at the bottom wide. Then I opened up the triangle and glued down the outer edge with hot glue. Make sure you have a paper under there because it will stick to your table if you don't. Then go ahead and fold the other edge over and glue it down. Once you have it all glued down, then you want to take the hat and flip it right side out. That way the seam doesn't show. Now we're just going to mix up some water and some Mod Podge. If you don't have the Mod Podge available, you can also use Elmer's glue. You were just making a solution that we can dip our fabric in so it'll stiffen it up. Now you want to take the hat, the top piece and the bottom circle that we cut out, and just put it in that solution that we made with the Mod Podge and water, and you want to let it soak for a few minutes. You want to take each piece and wring it out really well, and then we're going to take them, lay them out and start shaping them. I use some just plastic grocery sacks to hold up some of the bottom part, and then I shove them also into the top part to help hold that in place while the glue dries. Now go ahead and shape the hat how you like it, and then you want to leave them to dry overnight. Okay, here is the bottom portion dry, and you can see all these rough edges here. I don't want those to show, so I'm going to trim those off, and then I'm going to be using this bias tape to wrap around the edges. Bias tape is just a simple sewing notion that you can find at any sewing or fabric store. If you don't have bias tape on hand, you can just fold over the edges of your hat and just use a hot glue to seal those up if you don't want them frayed. So here is the top of my hat, and I love how it turned out. One of my kids said it looks like the hat in Harry Potter. But I'm going to go ahead and glue around the outside of the hat. And yes, I'm keeping the bags in there for right now to just help it hold its structure. And we're just going to glue that outside to the middle of the hat with a lot of hot glue. And yes, next we are going to be pulling out the black spray paint, and we're going to give it all a really good coat to spray this all black. Next, I'm going to show you how I made the buckle. I did cut a piece of cardboard out that was about 3.5 inches by 4 inches, and I made this pattern, very simple, out of paper that I can trace for the buckle. Now here's my buckle all cut out, and the next thing we're going to do is grab our Mod Podge. You can use glue as well if you want to do that, but I had Mod Podge on hand, so that's what I'm using. I'm just going to spread it along the buckle, and then I have this creepy cheesecloth that I've just cut from my Halloween decorations, and I'm going to spread that along the buckle and trim it. Then I'm going to go ahead and go over it with some more Mod Podge. Then you want to let that dry. I was a little impatient, so I grabbed my blow dryer and dried it. But once you've done that, you can trim all the excess strings and cheesecloth around the edges. Next thing I did was take my hot glue gun and just run it along the edges, just a thin stream. You can make it as thick as you want, but this kind of helps finish the buckle up so it does have those raised edges. So here's what it looks like all dry. You can see those edges with the hot glue. Now I just painted over everything with black acrylic paint. Now we're going to go ahead and let that buckle dry and start painting the hat. So what I did is I mixed a little bit of orange paint or terracotta paint with some black, and I started going over the raised edges of the hat with those colors. And then I just kept making it lighter and lighter and going over it more and more. So let's let that hat dry and we'll get back to the buckle. Now what I'm going to do to make all these details stand out is I'm using some, it's antique gold rub and buff, and I'm just lightly rubbing it over all the different details of that creepy cloth and the edges that we made with the hot glue. Not too bad for some cardboard hot glue and some creepy cloth. Now I'm just making a middle section for the belt buckle, so we have something to weave the cloth or the ribbon or the bow through to make the hat look authentic. Now I'm just making a line with hot glue, and then once it dries I go over it again. I also added a toothpick in there and went over that to give it more stability and to be able to raise it up higher. Now once it's dry, I'm going to do the same thing as I did with the buckle. I'm just going to paint it all black, and once that is dry, I'll go back over it with some rub and buff. So with the hat, now that it's glued, I wanted to add some sparkle or some little fairy lights in there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out the center and pull out some of those bags and stick the lights in, and then I did end up putting some bags back in to kind of hold the lights in there. So now it's time to assemble the hat. I do have this long, it's just cheesecloth really, that I dyed a while ago with coffee. I wanted a really big bow, a really big ribbon hanging down, so that's what I'm using. I'm just going to tie that into a big bow, and then we're going to attach that buckle. So I'm just setting the buckle on top of the fabric and pulling it through a little bit, and then we're going to use that other piece that we made and we're going to glue the ends and stick that on. Okay, so on to the second project. I'm going to be using these mini skulls that I bought at Dollar Tree. I've also seen them online at Amazon and Target as well. So I had these wood rounds on hand, but if you don't have anything like that, I was thinking that you could even go find a flat rock, something heavy to glue the skulls to. So I'm just using the hot glue to glue these two rounds together, and then I'm going to start by hot gluing 3 skulls right down at the bottom, and then we're going to stack one on top of the other. You can make them as tall as you want. I wouldn't recommend super tall unless your bottom is really heavy to hold that candle. But we're going to go ahead and stack those and glue those. And I have some pipe fitting that we're going to glue on top to hold the candle. I was thinking if you don't have the pipe fittings, you could cut out some toilet paper rolls, double those up, and glue those on as well. And that can hold your candle in place. Now I'm going to be using this insulating foam that fills gaps and cracks. It does expand, so you want to go really light to begin with on this, and just fill in the little areas that you want to in between the skulls, along the bottom, and up a little bit higher. Now I let this sit for a few minutes till it got a little bit tacky, and I'm just using a stick to kind of spread the stuff around. It is really sticky, so you want to be careful. You probably want to wear gloves, but I just spread it and stretched it till I got the look that I was going for. Now I let these dry overnight, and then I went back and spray painted them black, making sure you get in all the little cracks and everything. Now they look pretty cool dry, and you could definitely leave them as is, but I wanted the details to come out so you could actually see the skulls and everything. So what I did is I grabbed some of my rub and buff and went over them very light. I just kind of dry brushed the rub and buff on them so I could bring out all those details, and then the project just came all together. It was they just turn out beautiful. They're just so fun, and they look kind of elegant and really don't cost very much at all. So here is the final look of the candle holder. You definitely can see the skulls and all the little details popping out with that rub and buff. So I'm going to go ahead and style these, but I wanted to give you a little tip first. So with these pillar candles, I do like to put rubber bands at the end of them so they will hold in place inside the candle holder. You can also cut out a felt piece like I was showing you and stick that on the bottom of the candle and then push it in, and it's going to hold the candle in place so it's not wobbly and everything. So those are some tips to do that, but here we go with the styling. Now I got these skulls and this moss and these little skeleton hands, all from the Dollar Tree. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed these two projects. Please share them if you did. Please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any more DIY projects just like this.